signature.
Whatever happened to Afro Man?
Huh? Afro Man?
Palmdale, come back to me.
Yeah, I know who it is.
Moved on.
We just got 2 more likes on our picture. Funny thing, Afro Man actually changed his name and started a new movement. I forgot what he changed his name to, but I believe he no longer goes by Afro Man.
Did he like find himself? Like actually like
I think like being, I guess he would be considered a one-hit wonder. Maybe 2-hit wonder if you count.
He had a couple of songs.
Yeah, I like him. I liked him a lot. And that song Palmdale, that's one of the Afro Man, if you're watching this, people in Puerto Rico, when I went to school out there and I said I was from Palmdale, California, they would ask, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from California." "Where at?" "California." And I would say, kind of east of, Los Angeles. And they say, "Oh, where's that?" And I would say, "You're not going to know what it is, but it's Palmdale." And then it would say, Palmdale. Even Puerto Ricans, never even
all
been.
the way to Colombia. Cousins that came out here, same thing. Palmdale.
Yo, Afro Man. Shout out to Afro Man. Look.
He put us on the scale.
The scale?
It's the scale of the map. Actually, the map.
It's the map.
Actually, a map would sound better.
Afro Man, if you're watching this, I'm reaching out to you right now. I'm a local
He doesn't
artist.
go by Afro Man anymore, does
shit.
it? That's not a good way to start that.
The artist formerly known as Afro Man. I'm officially reaching out to you if you'd like to do a collaboration. I will free instrumental. You can have all the rights to it, everything you want, but just be in a music video with me. Whatever you need, I'll do it.
I saw that picture you posted up on Instagram or Facebook of you in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Your soundstage studio.
Humble beginnings, man. It's
I like
funny.
that.
It's funny because at that time, I thought I had made it. I really did.
What do you mean, made it?
I thought I had made it in the sense of, oh, this is it. I have a studio. I thought that's really what that was. And I look back at it now and I'm like, oh my God, I was rapping in my closet with the egg foam and I hung it here because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And when I actually had it set up, I remember I bought it I was waiting to get my student loan, and my parents were home, or they came out to visit and they were staying with my sister and I. And I remember I was waiting for them to leave. They were going to the airport that day because all I could think about since my student loan came through, I'm going to Best Buy and I'm buying this USB mic. That was the only thing on my mind. They didn't have a Guitar Center in Puerto Rico or nothing. So all I could get was that. And I was so excited, not for them to leave, but just to get that mic. I got it. I remember it was in the back. I went straight to it like a bee, like got it, went back home. And it came with the free version of Pro Tools, and just been making magic ever since.
You know what I like? What you just said, that you thought you made it. It really shines light that when you really have this dream or this end goal of wanting to do something with a lot of passion, it doesn't matter what you have. Whatever you have at that point seems to be like the Rolls Royce. Even though it's not the Rolls Royce, you appreciate that you've been able to get yourself to that point that you have the bare essentials to start what you need to.
Yeah.
And then just like everything else, you start to buy a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and you start to really get the specifics and the details. But that's where everyone starts.
Yeah. And before that, I was using a $5 gaming mic. It's crazy. I'll put in here right now a snippet of the very first song I ever did I'll tell the origin real quick. I'll put the snippet right now. Let them listen to it. Should we rock out while they listen to it?
I think so.
We moved out of Christian shit shack, now we up in the big leagues. Finally got a piece of our pie. Living at the beach, I beseech to say that.
All right, that's all they get. My sister and I made that song in Puerto Rico as a joke on her computer. And before doing all this, I used to write poetry, ladies' man or whatever. I used to write poetry, and I used to write rhymes just because, I don't know why, I just liked doing it. It was natural. My sister and I were in Puerto Rico before my mom's birthday. One of us, or Christy, got the idea of let's write a song for my mom's birthday. Can't get her a gift, and you know her birthday was like that the next day or something. Like, let's make a funny song. So we went on GarageBand on my sister's computer, and I found, GarageBand. It has all the different tracks, a piano, all right, drum tracks, samples, loops, whatever. And I just start pulling things. And I was like, okay, here's a dun 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 dun. I made a drum track just from that. All these loops. I wasn't making anything. I was just pulling loops, putting them together. And then we started making a little intro. Christy was doing like a singing thing. And when my part came on, and then Christy started rapping, and it was funny. And it's funny when Christy tells the story, but then Christy did her rap and it was funny and everything. And then I was like, all right, I'll be right back. I went to the other room and I recorded my verse. And when I came back, she was like, what the hell? She was like, you're actually rapping. Like, what the hell? This sounded really good. And then people started hearing it, and they thought it was like, they were like super surprised because they didn't know I could do that. And then I didn't even really know I could do it. I thought I could, but I did it. And then literally from that moment, that rest of that night, it must have been like 6 hours. All I did was record. I couldn't stop. I just started recording. I started writing, and then I started downloading other people's beats. I would, find a beat that I liked, and I would, just write a rap to it, and I'd put it out. Or actually, I wouldn't put it out. I would just, I'd show my sister, and that's how I started doing it. And then it got to the point where I started, instead of using copyrighted beats, I started finding producers that had beats, and then it evolved into now where I make my own beats and I record. And
cool.
It's crazy. If I could go back in time and be like, and look at myself and talk to myself and be like, look, in a few years you're gonna have this and that, and if I saw a glimpse of what I was gonna have from that moment, I would have thought it was impossible. It wouldn't have made sense to me, So a lot of times I look back like that, and then from this point, I can't imagine where I'm going to be in 3 years. Progress. I always get upset with myself, and I'm always such a hard critic on myself, no matter what I'm doing. And I'm always like, man, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And then sometimes I have to check myself, and I'm like, man, you're making progress. 6 months ago, you didn't even know how to do this, and now you're doing this. And then I kind of have to remind myself, and I won't be so hard on myself. But that moment only lasts a second, and then I go back to being hard on myself. And
I think that's what separates, people that can accomplish things in such a short time frame is you have to be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you become complacent or comfortable, that's when you don't do anything.
Yeah. And that's honestly, it seems like, shout out to your stomach making a little rumble.
Sorry.
It seems like I always thought, all right, as soon as I learn how to do this, I'm going to be good. As long as I can learn how to do this, I'll be fine. I'll finally just get it. But it seems like I'm constantly in, drowning. I feel like that because whenever I've started to edit a music video, it always starts with, I don't know how to do any of this. I said it would be out next week. I don't know how to do this. Now I got to edit this. Now I got to learn green screen. Okay, I said I would make a Valentine's song. Fuck, now I got to do this crazy green screen. I don't know how to do any of this. Now I need to watch a 30-minute YouTube tutorial and then, pause it, try what they're doing, then pause on, everything, just try new things. So I think it's never going to get easier. I really feel like that because I have like this mentality of now I don't even want to mess with that. Now I know how to do that. I'm going to do that, but now it just can't be that easy. I need to figure out something else and crazier. Like the music videos I'm going to start coming out with in the next couple of years are going to be insane. Because I see movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, And I'm like, if they can do that shit, I can do that shit. That's my mentality, honestly. When I go to movies and I see things, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I'm gonna learn how to do that. And there's no difference between them and me. You know, they're just someone behind a computer learning how to do the effects. If I just learn how to do it, I can do it, you know?
No, I like how you said that when you see something, you have a feeling that you can do it, because what separates you from them. That's the way that I've really looked at life from as long as I can remember, is that when I saw something I wanted, I go, I want that. But the only difference between me and the other person saying I want that is that I actually like kept saying I want that to the point that I got to the point that I actually did get it. It actually reminds me every time I go on my bike ride down PCH towards Laguna, you know, you pass a lot of beautiful homes, you pass, you know, these gorgeous beaches and all that. And I always tell myself, you know, one of these days that's going to be me, not particularly that house or this location, but what separates that person living in a big fancy home, or what separates that person driving a nice car, or, you know, living life. I feel like when you can say I want something and you really put your pants on and you actually go every day and do it right, I think that's part of dreaming.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of people, I think, immediately set themselves up for failure, is that they think that by dreaming they're shooting too high.
Yeah. Dude, I'm a fucking dreamer. And I don't care. Life's too short to not be a dreamer. We get one shot at this. As far as I know, we get one shot. And I always wonder, I'm like, why are we telling kids? We would never tell a kid that says, I want to be an astronaut. I want to do this. I want to be a race car driver. You never hear a parent go, or anybody, you know, adult go, that's a pretty hard thing, you know, you probably not going to end up doing that. But we say that to high school kids. We say that to college kids graduating. All this stuff, these crazy ideas, I've seen it. I've been there where, you know, I was in a counseling session with a Ventura College counselor. Shout out to Ventura College counselor. You ain't doing shit.
Were you the Pirates?
Shout out to Pirates. Yeah, yo ho, yo ho. Pirates life for me. I actually stole that. Shout out to Disneyland. I'm sorry. I went to.
How did you steal it?
I'm a pirate.
Oh.
No, really, I'm a pirate.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a real pirate. I went to Ventura College, and I was a pirate. So being part of that team, I automatically was like, okay, my coach said I'm a pirate. If I'm a pirate, I have to do pirate things.
Like steal?
Pirate steal, man. Pirateering. Pirating? Yeah, and I stole that and a bunch of pirate rings from the Pirates of the Caribbean store.
Really?
I probably shouldn't have said this.
You know what you should do on it when you edit?
I commandeered this.
Mute it.
Just sound like that. Nah, whatever. What were we talking about?
Pirates. Ventura College.
Oh, whew, thank God. It almost got weird, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. Yeah, and this counselor, everything I was saying for, you know, what I thought I wanted to do, because I went to a counselor, you know, bright-eyed, naive, and just wanted real advice. I wanted counsel, you know, on what I could do. And I remember he just was shooting down everything. Like, everything wasn't possible, you know? I remember I at that time, I thought about, you know, I said something about nursing. I said something about opening up my own business. And he just, everything I was saying that, you know, was kind of an individual thing, kind of on my own, he was shooting down and was saying, I remember at one point he leaned in and said, let's be realistic about what's possible and what's not in this world. And now that I look back at that, I'm like, this guy should not be a counselor. He just leaned into a young kid who just has the world ahead of him and went, let's be realistic about what's possible and what's not in this world. Anything's possible in this world. But I think there's that like a generation thing, and a thing where you get so stuck in your way of thinking and, you know, inside the box, that you just shit on anybody else's possibility to do something else.
I think too is, if you really look at your counseling experience, is that this person works for a school, which, you know, when you work for a college, you have that tenure, you have all these, you know, benefits. But imagine if you went to a counselor that was an independent counselor, had his own business. Would he shut your dreams of starting your own thing down?
And that just leads me to thinking about how fucked up the school system is again. That you can't afford the independent one, or, you know, the school's not going to supply you with that. But what they are going to supply you with is a counselor who's just like, no, sorry, I didn't do that, so why would it work for you? You know?
No, it is. I think that it's funny how when you're a little kid, you do encourage a lot of creativeness, a lot of imagination, a lot of shooting up for the stars as far as reaching up for the stars. And then as soon as you get closer to adult life, as far as releasing yourself into the actual real world, everyone starts to put all these, you know, boundaries on you. And why is that? I think it's the fear built into us that, you know, let's say as a parent, you don't want your kid to fail. So I think that you don't want to let them sort of try things. You want to set them for success, but at the same time, you keep closing all these doors. That how are you creating any success for your kid? And if you really look at all your previous experiences as a parent, you have to have a lot of experiences there that take a lot of, you know, falling down, picking yourself up, trying again. So why don't you let your kid do the same thing? Because I think that's the ultimate experience of life. I think that you can only lecture, you can only hammer things into your kids. The other part is just letting them loose.
You know what's crazy? I feel like that is it. You know, there's too much of parents, they're not in touch with what life really is about. And it's about adventure, and it's about making, you know, most rewarding thing you can do is let your kid build their own life, you know, to set them free and let them get experiences, not try to shelter them, because this isn't even up for debate. If you shelter your child, if you keep them, you know, away from any kind of temptation, if you keep them in a box, the second they get out of your box, you can't control them once they leave the house. They go ape shit. Some of the craziest, dude, I'm not an extreme example of that, but I was homeschooled, and as soon as I went to college, I popped my fucking lid. You know, I went to the whoo, but luckily for me, nothing bad happened. I was like, you know, when you like a balloon at a party, you're about to tie the knot, but then it gets out of your hand and it just all that pressure just comes out of it and it just shoots all around the room. And
luckily, it doesn't even know what's up, what's down.
Yeah, and luckily it didn't hit anybody in the eye. That was me, you know? And that's what happens is when you try to pressure them and you try to keep them, you know, you try to mold them, they break the mold, they go crazy. The harder you push them, the harder they lash back, they go crazy. Dude, always the craziest girls growing up were the ones with the crazy ass dad that was like, take my daughter out? Where are you going? Are you have a phone? What's your address? You know, they try to pull that shit and it just backfires completely. They always had the craziest daughter that was just, you know, everybody knew about that daughter. And that leads me into something that just happened this past couple of days. I went down to train my sister for a couple of days down in Santa Monica. And there's this lagoon. And there's a couple of them. There's one where I shot music video Monsters at. And it's just this cool, epic lagoon. And the one we went to the other night, we went out, we sat on the beach. It was an amazing night. We talked about life, we talked about aliens, we talked about religion, everything. It was just such a cool night. We ate ate watermelon, coconut. It was just cool. And we walked from the beach to this lagoon, and it was where thousands of Indians, they found thousands of Indians' bodies underneath the water. Like,
Really?
it was like a crazy burial thing, but there was like a weird feeling. And then my sister and I are like standing on this old dock, just like looking out in the lagoon, and we start talking about the Indians. The Indians had it right. They were the ones. I asked my sister, said, what if the Indians would have won? What if they would have beat the white man? The world we live in would have been a million times different. The Indians always talked about, preserving the land, being thankful for the land. When they would kill an animal, they would bow and pray the animal and thank it for what it was giving them. Look at the way our factories with meat and everything, how inhumane we are. And, everybody likes to pretend like it's not us, like, oh, walk through the grocery store getting your chicken. It's brutal the way that thing was killed. When you get your veal, you're like, ooh, it's nice and lean. No, you're a crazy murderer. You're assisting. You're still there. You're still part of it. Don't try to pretend you're not part of it. But the Indians were amazing because they would do that same thing where a man must become a man on his own. They were always about, everybody's journey as an individual is different. And it's just getting back to that they didn't try to influence too much. And that might have been their fault, is that they were too trusting of the white man. They shared too much. They were too open. And it gets back to the basis that we're too selfish, we're too insecure, we do things out of fear. We killed the Indians before the Indians could kill us, even though they were peaceful people. Someone's going to tweet us and be like, look at this asshole, they used to rape white women and tomahawk them and scalp them. But that's my take. The Indians had it right. I think the Indians, and you can apply that principle. There's people now who are making gardens and they're trying to live off the land. It's funny because we got so far away from that. I know in the 60s and the 70s when they started doing TV dinners and everything like that, America, we thought it was cool to that, oh shit, TV dinners. And that used to become a thing where a family would bond around TV dinners. They would put all these things in the microwave. They would get them out. Ding! The wife would walk out to little mitts, put them in front of each other, and they would watch TV. They would watch Johnny Carson, whatever. And that was it. They were getting so into this processed food because it was cool, and it was the new wave of everything.
I like how you threw in Johnny Carson.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a late
It's
thing.
good.
I don't even know if he matched up with that timeline, but I just feel like he was one of those people. It's always crazy because it seems like that generation. It's weird because I actually hung out with my dad tonight, and we watched The Twilight Zone, and it was
Really?
cool. It was cool. We were kind of bonding over it, and it was nice. And it's not that we're just watching. If I'd watched it by myself, it would have been a lot different and would have been the same kind of feeling. But since I was watching with my dad, it was more cool, and it was Twilight Zone, and it was actually a really creative show, and it was an awesome episode. We watched a couple of them, and I think people like the late night, like Johnny Carson and everything, and I forgot the other one, Letterman, but I think Johnny Carson's the most famous. There's Jay Leno and everything, but I think Johnny Carson's the number one. But families would bond over watching TV together.
Yeah.
A lot of people, who are in their 40s now and everything, they talk about, the bonding, the relationship they have with their dad because of that experience of watching something together like late night. So I think that's what was cool about back in the 60s and 70s was that family atmosphere of eating a TV dinner, and I'd sit on the floor, my mom and dad would sit behind me, and we watch them. We stay up every night,
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
No, it is. And I think, each generation has a different form of bonding just because, especially technology nowadays. I think that now bonding is, sometimes when I go out to eat with friends, bonding at a table with a family is everyone looking down at their phones.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's interesting.
It is weird. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, podcast is brought to you by A80roller.com. It's a health thing for rolling yourself out. EvanLopez.com. It's a music thing. Helps you for making songs. I think it is weird that the way it is now, it's weird because I see people, you know, I went to high school with and everything. Granted, some of them I wasn't that close with. But except for a few of them, I don't really care to talk to some people. And it seems like I'm in touch with people, you know, that I was close to. Jimmy Rodriguez. Shout out to Jimmy Rodriguez.
Shout out. Jimmy,
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. He can hear us. So much of it is just...
Stay in school, Jimmy.
Yeah, don't drop out. Jimmy, congratulations on the wedding.
A kid?
Huh?
I feel like now I have to get a kid. I don't know where, but...
I'm sure I got a couple out there. There's some little kid out there. He's
every Father's
off.
Day, I always check my Facebook.
I'm just waiting. Every time someone knocks on the door, I'm like, fuck, this is it. Oye, cabrón.
Yeah, I know, right? Here's your, how much money you owe me.
Yeah. Gotcha, bitch. You've been served. Are you Evan Lopez? Gotcha. Just throws them in my face, like 5 of them. Or a little baby in a basket sitting on the front porch. Same hair as me, just be looking up at
me. He has headphones on.
He's rapping and shit. Fuck, where were we? Oh, man.
We were talking about Jimmy.
Jimmy, you fucking son of a bitch. See, this is actually a good form of interaction because Jimmy can actually hear us.
Yeah.
You know? How narcissistic are we that we just think Jimmy's listening right now?
It's the only episode that he doesn't listen to.
But what I'm saying is that even though we have all these friends that we're good friends with, we never see them anymore. We never actually hang out.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time.
It's this weird watered down friendship now through social media because, yeah, everybody's busy, you know, trying to do your own thing. But there really is no more like social life in a sense because some people will ignore you at the grocery store. You know, I've literally had this weird interaction where I'll see someone at the grocery store and I'll try to be engaging, you know, with someone interested. Be like, hey, how are you? Like, oh, what have you been doing? Blah, blah, blah. And they're weird. They're awkward. And I'm like, all right, well, it was good seeing you, you know? And then as soon as I leave, they'll write me on Facebook, ha ha ha, it was so good seeing you, blah, blah, blah. What else have you been up to? That's really cool, blah, blah. And they're super engaging. And I'm just like, all right, like, you know, I'll continue the conversation. But it's like, this isn't real. What we just had at the grocery store was real. You know?
Hands down, texting, emailing is such an easy way to express yourself. It's almost like liquid courage, you know, when you drink and it's really easy to go up to a girl or say things that you normally wouldn't say.
Pull your dick out. Wait, real quick. That's a big thing on phones, is sending dick pics. Dude, apparently, I don't really run into that many dick pics. But there's girls, I remember, I don't really see them anymore, but girls, not dick pics, but still see those. But girls will put posts like, oh my God, stop DMing me.
Really?
Pics. Like, yeah. I guess there's guys out there who are just fishing.
I was going to say they're fishing.
They're just
throwing out the line.
It's just like chumming. It's like an old man in a park with pigeons, and they're just like, let's see.
Okay, out of 100, I might get a couple.
And they're just looking at the pigeons in the trees, and they're like, which one of you motherfuckers going to fly down and get some of this shit, huh? And they're just throwing it down there. And that's like fishing with dynamite. Like, you're just, like, where's the essence in it anymore, you know? There's no more essence when you're just sending dick pics. And what are you, flexing that last second? Got it. All right, you know?
No, that's
Gross.
why, I mean...
Are guys updating their dick pic? Like, are they using the same headshot from 2 years ago? You know? So many questions about it.
The interesting part is, people that are good at communicating are always the people that will most likely interact with people in person, would rather interact with people in person, and so almost avoid the whole social media as far as a real form of communication.
Uh-huh.
But the people that aren't, which I think is the majority, because if you really look at it, a lot of people that work for a company or work for someone else, they usually always have just a regular desk job or a job that entails, one project or two projects, but a lot of them don't really interact with people.
The people that are on social media and doing their thing?
Yeah, as far as the normal person that just has a 9-to-5 job,
Uh-huh.
most likely they're not out there trying to get business or trying to communicate with people unless that's their job. As far as salespeople, I think it's a perfect example that a good salesperson could talk to anyone, could sell you anything,
Yeah.
and has great characteristics like communication, eye contact, body language,
Firm handshake.
firm, all these things that, again, I feel like my grandpa and my father would teach me growing up.
Yeah.
Look at them in the eye, shake them with the, firm handshake, those types of things.
It's interesting because a lot of times I respect a lot of older people who are in their 50s, 60s right now. And a lot of comedians. It's weird. I listen to a lot of comedians' podcasts. Duncan Trussell, Dom Herrera, Ari Shaffir, Joe Rogan, Fighter and the Kid. I just named off so many podcasts. But a lot of them have that style. They grew up in a different era where presentation was a big thing. And, you're a man, you project your voice, you establish yourself when you come in a room, you shake people's hands, you look people in the eyes. But I wonder if it's this new wave of technology that's making the younger generation be so I don't even know what the word would be for it, unconventional. and because if you talk to sometimes I'll talk to kids at the gym if they're working out and I see them do something dumb. I'll correct them and I'll say, hey, like today this kid, I felt bad for him because they were the 12s. You know how they have like the all silver weights where they're like the light
They'll
ones?
do in between.
Yeah.
Like they'll have 5, 8, 10,
Yeah.
12, 15.
Yeah, he had the little weights. And he was just doing this weird thing where he was flinging it up. And he was bringing his elbows out. And everything was just like that. And I just corrected him. I said, hey, here, let me show you this, blah, blah, blah. And I showed him how to do it a little bit. But it seems like there's this thing of like, everything, they're trying to be cool with everything. Everything's boring. Everything, they're tired 24/7. Do you ever get that feeling from younger kids? Everything's just tired. Like, what? You're gonna do what? Huh? Like, I sound like an old fogey right now talking about this.
Young generation.
Yeah, I lost all hip hop credentials by talking like this. These kids, they don't know how to have a conversation anymore, It's all that goddamn rap music they're listening to.
Well, what it is, if you really look at why a lot of these kids are more tired or not as driven as far as you don't see that fire in their eyes when you talk to them, is because everyone's sitting down playing video games, I feel like. Or if you're not playing video games, you're at your computer, with a software, trying to do this and that. And no one's interacting with no one.
So they just don't have that muscle conditioned.
Yeah, I don't think that... Like, when you were correcting this kid, did he seem like he wanted to learn, or was he just like, oh shit, here we go, someone's going to tell me what to do?
I think it was more of an ego thing. I think it's you got to walk on eggshells when you're correcting another guy about their workout thing. I do it from, look, I try to be just nonchalant. I try not to make it seem like I'm let me show you how to do that. You're doing that all wrong.
Oh, do you see this bicep?
Yeah. By the way, shout out to shirts that shrink the first time you wear them.
Man, is that a kid small?
Yeah, this is actually pre-K right here, baby. Oh. It definitely was weird, and as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. It's like when you're throwing a rock and it's going to hit a window, and you're like, I shouldn't have threw that. But I just got out of it as quick as I could, just because I tell you wasn't responsive to it. I've had it where, people are responsive, like, oh, okay, yeah, I do it like this, and they'll ask follow-up questions. It's cool. But, yeah, he wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
It is. It's the same kids like that. They go home, and they get on their headset playing games.
Well, especially
Fuck
now,
you, bitch, faggot, suck my dick,
what is it?
pussy.
Xbox, PlayStation 4. That everyone's playing, games while talking to other people through their headsets. That's the new form of interaction.
I think also Snapchat. Snapchat's pretty
Which
good.
one's that one? The one that just a couple seconds the
that
picture
was it.
comes up?
Yeah. And all these girls thought that you could just send a Snapchat to a guy of, if he wants a naked picture, they'll just send us a naked Snapchat. And they think the guy won't, it'll disappear. Screenshot.
Really?
God,
Do
there's
you have
so
enough time to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and these girls, but one thing that Snapchat started doing was they start letting the person know, the person you just sent a picture to just screenshotted that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so now there's a thing that if you try to snap...
Shit.
and the girl be like, what the fuck did you just do? What the fuck did you just do?
You were supposed to let it erase.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's this website, it's called leakedsnapchats.com, and it's all these pictures that people did not want to get out, and a lot of them were naked girls, and they all had the same caption, you better not fucking show this to anyone. And a million,
2.4 million viewers later.
Yeah, it really is like that, It's ridiculous. And they also, it came out that Snapchat doesn't delete them. It's sent to a database where they store all these pictures.
Really?
So everything that you're sending, that's why I'm not, if I'm with someone and I won't, I don't want any naked pictures. I don't want to send naked pictures. I'm on icy territory right now.
I know, everyone's quiet.
Yeah, everybody's like,
Every-
what? Is Evan send naked pictures? Huh? They're all, oh, Evan, really? You don't send naked pictures? And all these pictures just start blowing us up. Not with my face in it. And because...
Would you Photoshop your head? With like David Hasselhoff, something like that?
Fuck does David Hasselhoff have that I don't have? No, I want it. Guys, let me give you a favor real quick. Here's a quick tip. If you're gonna send a dick pic, do not stand there in the mirror taking a dick pic. Jennifer Lawrence, let me tell you something. Did you hear about that?
No.
She leaked. Someone broke into the Apple cloud.
I was gonna say, because that was a lot of people though.
I like how you act like you don't know, but then you just know.
Well, I don't know the girl that you just mentioned, but I knew that.
There was naked pictures of Jennifer Lawrence. I forget who else.
I find it funny that now everyone's mad, but there's no more privacy.
It's creepy, man.
There's no more privacy.
We're in uncharted waters because we kind of thought it was never going to be us. Because it seems like we think it's funny and we think it's cool when it's happening to celebrities. It's laughable. But the real fact is, before I lose this for guys, do not send a dick pic of you in the picture. If you feel compelled to send one, and it's, you're throwing a Hail Mary and it might be the touchdown for you to win the game, do not have your face be in it. Do not have anything recognizable in it. Don't have a driver's license in the corner of the picture. Don't have anything that can identify you from another sausage.
Well, here I
Don't
guess,
have a wristband that has your name on it.
What's the worst thing that could happen though?
I'll tell you what the worst thing that can happen because I've seen it. A guy broke up. A guy sent a girl a dick pic. Not only did he send her a dick pic, he sent her a full body picture, a mirror pic with him essentially naked in front of a full blown mirror. Now, this poor fellow, I wish I could have sat him down and taught him how to do this before he did it. He didn't even get full mass. He just lazied it and just,
Lazy.
It was about 3/4 of the way at attention, you know? And I was just like, dude, first of all, you got a lazy dick pic. Like, what are you doing here? This is how you present yourself? It's like he walked into a job interview in a fucking tank top and sandals. He didn't give a shit, and he was 20 minutes late. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
But he sent this dick pic. Very compelling content we have. He sent this dick pic. I saw it because the girl he sent it to, who I guess they got in a crazy fight, they broke up. She posted it on Facebook. Just put it on her wall. I guess he pushed her or something. Like they got in a fight and she hit him. She pushed him. She was Latin. Motherfucker, don't you touch me. You know? She went all J-Lo on him. She put it on there. This poor guy with his little tink. He was humiliated. And all these girls were commenting on it. Just saying horrible shit. Look how small it is. I don't even feel that. Tee. Which is kind of a diss to yourself, you little slut.
I was going to say, first of all,
I wouldn't even feel that. I can fit 100 of those.
What does that say about you?
Dude, and I reported to Facebook just as I feel like someone's got to be team man.
Bro.
I don't think...
Looking out.
Bro, I guess a bro, but I'm team Mel. I'm team Mel at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
Because if
cleaning someone else's mess.
Yeah, and it's more like that could have led that kid to commit suicide. When you're that young, and if you're not naive to send that horrible of a dick pic, then you're naive enough and you're dumb enough to commit suicide over that much of embarrassment. There's people who have killed themselves by being bullied. There's been girls that have killed them, and it's actually a really sad topic. There's been girls that have killed themselves over cyberbullying.
Yeah, no, that's really bad, actually.
And the same thing, you know, honestly, there's been girls who have killed themselves because, you know, a girl sent a naked picture to a guy. The guy sent it to everybody in the fucking school, and everybody's calling that girl a slut. She goes home and drinks an entire thing of bleach.
Well, the crazy part about it is I think that men, obviously, like let's say a guy sends a naked picture to a girl, she publishes it out. I mean, it is what it is. I think a girl would take it a step further just because, just naturally they're more reserved, obviously.
What do you mean?
There's that whole stereotype, there's that whole connotation that women shouldn't be doing that, and then they're going to be categorized as sluts or whores. And like you said, that puts more pressure. But a guy gets caught with a picture like that, what's the worst thing? You get, you know, made fun of for having a small. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the worst thing like they can really throw at you. What, they call you a whore?
Yeah,
does that really hurt you?
Guys are whores. It's in our blueprint. It's in our DNA. You know, you're gonna call a guy a whore. You get mad at a dog for biting you. You know, it's crazy because I mean there is a double standard completely between men and women in life. It's never going to be equal when it comes to these real things, like a man being a whore, and just like when on the news it comes out of, you know, it makes my stomach sick when I see a 35-year-old male who looks like a fucking pedophile on the news got a 14-year-old girl student pregnant. It makes my stomach sick. But when you see a 14-year-old kid that got
you see this high five
that got a blowjob from a hot 29-year-old teacher, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, everyone's like, all the guys are like, man, I never had a teacher like that.
Yeah, and it is that kind of double standard because at the end of the day, men and women are just different. You know, it really is that. And it's wrong. I guess it's wrong. But it's a double standard that's going to be there, and I don't know if we can really change it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But there was a South Park episode actually on that where they were talking about one guy was trying to report the teacher.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And he kept going to the cops, and the cops were like, wait, what happened to teacher Bob? They're like, yeah. And they were like, where is this teacher? Who is he? And they go, it's a she. And every cop reacts to go, Nice.
Nice.
They just kept saying that. Nice.
It is bad, but I
Yeah.
don't think it'll ever change.
Yeah. I think that voids tenure, you know, when you do something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's even one that got a teacher pregnant, and she was in jail having her little baby.
Well, yeah, and she kept it.
Yeah. There's been female police officers in prison getting pregnant by guy inmates.
Really?
Yeah.
Like on duty?
Mm-hmm. On duty and you know.
She has some issues.
Yeah. There's been more. It's happened more than once.
There's some crazy shit that happens, though. I mean, you really think about that. I don't know.
That's like a weird fantasy thing, though.
It has to be. That's why you have to be a little bit messed up in the mind or have some issues because...
I don't think it's messed up in mind. I think it's just some people just have that
Really?
that fantasy.
Just that sexual desire.
Yeah, if you think about it, when people start being married for a long time, they start mixing things up, and you know he'll come to the door in an astronaut suit, and she's dressed as an alien speaking gibberish. Like they're always making up weird shit like that. So I'm sure there's, if we could look at the entire time, there's had to been a million couples that did that jail scenario where he was an inmate.
One thing that I don't think I could ever do is role play.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Coming from M80 roller?
Yeah, I don't think I can do
Role
that.
play?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm myself.
Oh. I don't know about myself either. I don't know.
For some reason, it's almost like being someone you're not. I don't know.
So do you think it's weird when people do?
Again, whatever works for them, but I don't think I can, dress up as a construction worker and then role play something or, knock on the door and I would start laughing.
Yeah.
If I were to knock on the door and I'm dressed as a police officer and my wife or girlfriend opens the door,
Pretend she's a meth addict.
I would start just laughing hysterically that it wouldn't even be sexual. It would just be...
I think it's supposed to be a kind of a joke, though. You're kind of laughing about it, like, oh yeah, you're a bad little meth head, huh? You know? Police brutality. If I roleplay, it's going to be weird. It's going to be like I'm a giraffe.
A giraffe?
Yeah. And I'm walking into the savannah, and I'm like, what you doing there, little Pumbaa? Like, interspecies kind of stuff. And then, like, a little warthog, you know?
Why wouldn't you be a lion?
Huh?
Why wouldn't you be a lion?
I'm already a lion.
Oh.
Dos Leos.
That's true. Be someone else?
Yeah, I'd have to switch it up. It wouldn't be the same thing.
What about a flamingo?
Done it.
Yeah?
Yeah, done it.
Yeah?
I go up on one leg.
I was going to say, stand on one leg.
Well, I walk around, and I have feathers. This has gotten so weird.
Late night hour.
Late night.
Midnight special.
Shout out to any giraffe, and there's had to be in the entire time the world's existed someone pretend they were a giraffe. Someone just stretching their neck out. Yeah, and then there's like a wife who's like, they call me Mr. Pig. The guy from Pumbaa.
From the Lion King.
Lion King. Shout out to Lion King. Pride Rock. Before we start losing people, if people could if they're watching this, they would take their view back if they could. They'd be like, these motherfuckers, I'm taking this view back. You don't deserve that one view. Before we get too off track, going back to the privacy thing, Yahoo. I don't know why I said that so weird. I said that like Mario Kart. Yahoo just came out with this thing that the government has been pressuring them to release all their data on users, all their information, the files, data, emails, everything. They've been fining Yahoo for every day they don't do it, $250,000 a day for every day that they don't hand over user data. Do you know how crazy it is? And the reason why Yahoo's been saying this, that it's came down to the government threatening them, is because they think it violates the terms of service and people's privacy. That's really what Yahoo came out and said that. Say we didn't want to do it. We don't want to do it because this is violating people's privacy.
Well, I don't know if you remember, for a while, Google, they were also harassing Google and a bunch of other things. But
Google caved in, didn't they?
Yeah, they caved in. But you know why they caved in. They're such a huge powerhouse, and you know that they have links with the government, with especially Google, either rents or owns part of the damn satellite up there.
Google Earth and Google Ocean now.
Yeah, it's crazy. But they had a petition going that, the government will not regulate the internet because they got to a point that they wanted to start regulating it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Now they want to start doing this thing where they have like a slow lane, where they're going to start slowing down people's internet on purpose, and they want to start regulating it. It's just, I think, even now, and why the internet is awesome is because it's the Wild West. It's real. It's what, people...
Yeah, you can't stop anyone.
Yeah. And there's actually been, there's... I forget where it was. It was a place we were going to bomb. Obama came out and said we were going to bomb them. And it didn't end up happening because all the facts were online and everybody was in outrage. We literally did not bomb them. Obama, American people. I'm just kidding. I was drunk.
JK, LOL.
LOL. I'm your president. Barack Obama.
Hashtag, sorry.
Yeah. Hashtag, I'm drunk. And we didn't end up bombing them because all the facts were coming up and it wouldn't have made sense. Just like there's all the... I forget. I swear I need to read a history book when I start saying quotes like this. There was something with the Cold War. I want to say it was a Cold War. But we were, I want to say Reagan. Maybe it was Reagan. It was a president wouldn't sign off on this operation where it was going to fake and make it look like Russia attacked us. He wouldn't sign off on it. So there's all this stuff that the government's done to make things seem like we're at war and this is the only action we can take. We have to do this. But really the government has a hidden agenda. There's even conspiracies with 9/11. Obviously 9/11 just passed. This is right now, it's September 13th if you're watching this after. There's all kinds of conspiracies about 9/11 being set up by the government. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing, is no one knows.
Yeah.
There's been so many of it debunked. I really don't think the government did that. But I think there's plenty of stuff from the past that kind of proves that there's things that they faked. A lot of people think they faked the moon landing. That's one that I actually think. Do you know that we haven't been back like that since then? So we haven't been back to the moon, like the moon landing, since then. Isn't that crazy that in all those years past, technology growing and everything, we just haven't wanted to? Why haven't we put more people on the moon?
No, it's a good point. I don't think...
There's a quote Bill Clinton said. He said, and I'm phrasing this, he had talked to a guy before his presidency, an old, redneck southern kind of guy, and he said, they faked the moon landing, blah, 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 I don't believe it. And this was after his presidency. He says, I talked to this guy, and he told me they faked the moon landing, and then after my presidency, I thought this guy wasn't crazy. He might have just been ahead of his time.
Really?
Saying that about the guy that, because once you become president, you start learning, they brief you on some things, and maybe because of what he's seen the government do, he says, you know what? That guy was ahead of his time, with what really happened. It's pretty crazy, man. So that's why I think it's scary. And all people can do now is just try to protect themselves. And, it is pretty crazy because if the government just starts going through everybody's stuff, all their text message history, all their emails, no matter what, they're going to be able to find something that can put you in jail. No matter what. Even if it was a joke, you know?
Yeah.
Even if I text you and you're like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? I'm doing a bunch of meth. I've had to have said that to you once in my lifetime as a joke, saying I was doing cocaine or something. You're Colombian. I've had to make a cocaine joke to you.
I think I might have replied that I have a couple lines that I'm doing as we speak.
But it's true. And they can take anything they want and do what they want with it. They could, you know, they could, there really isn't freedom anymore in the sense of it. You know, with the way I'm scared of getting, you know, with everything that's coming out about some of these crazy cop videos, the crazy government videos. Some people, you hear things and you see things that just blow your mind. You're like, holy shit, I could be in the wrong place at the wrong time and get caught up in the wrong thing, you know? And I think there's a lot of great police officers out there. I just think we're in a crazy time. It's a crazy time because we're about to be, I really feel like this, and I'm going to be the Nostradamus, and predict that we're on the verge of a revolution.
I think so too. I can feel it.
I know, you feel it in the air, huh? It's like there's a werewolf somewhere transmitting right now and turning it, and we're like...
And it might be another 5 years, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, because it's the government trying to step in on the internet, and, you know, people with the privacy, we think it's funny and whatever, you know, leaked celebrity pictures and getting all invasive in their lives. When it's going to get flipped on us and we're going to have that reflection, you know, they flip the mirror around and we see ourselves, holy fuck, you know? Because now you see stuff from the past coming back to haunt you. All this crazy stuff. There was...
Like dick pics?
Yeah, dick pics are going to come back and haunt everyone. Because there's people who charged with transferring... it was underage kids. They were sending naked pictures to each other. They charged the kids with kiddie porn.
Really?
Yeah, because they're underage. They're sending it. Now they're transferring kiddie porn. They're making it, no matter if it's their own, it's still kiddie porn. You know, because a 17-year-old boy sent a dick pic to a 17-year-old girl. Same thing. She sent her boobies to him. It's kiddie porn. So the government, the law, will find a way to get you no matter what. You know, it's just a matter of time and what they find it. Because no one, unless you go completely off the grid, you break your cell phone, throw it in a lake, break your computer, and you just build a log cabin out in Alaska, you're gonna get caught up in it.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. I feel like that should be a storyline for a movie.
About the government.
Yeah, like attacking social media, attacking the internet, and people going back to the roots.
That's a good one. How we just push back so much, we go back to an old style of civilization.
Because it's almost like a war that you can't win. At first we think we can fight this war of the government not intruding into our social media or our internet life.
So it's like we're holding this wall and then we're like, fall back to the mountains.
There's no way.
And we just revert back to the hills and we just smash our phones, everything.
And get off the grid.
But then the government's going to own that mountain and they're going to come out and, you know, what are we going to do then? Fight.
I was going to say, it's going to go back to the old days.
I don't even want to say that because the government's going to know that I picked a side already. You know? They're probably listening right now. I'm sure they're subscribed to us on iTunes if you just search Dos Leos Productions. Dos Leos Productions in the iTunes store. Take us anywhere you want, except for the government. Don't listen to us. Because really, they could listen. They could watch this and say we're conspiracy. You know, we are plotting against the government. This is comedy. This is a joke. This is a real world. And
I know, right?
Push everything over. We're going to the mountains. But it really is crazy. And there's that movie with Tom Cruise where they catch people for crimes they thought about doing in the future. They can see the future and crimes that people are going to commit. They stop them before they do it. So they're in people's minds. There's all this crazy stuff. That's where we're heading. And I feel like we're either going to get to the point where we accept completely that the government is just watching everything we're doing, whatever. Because if you think about it, back in the day, what the government saw was really what was happening. There wasn't any of this transferring and everything. They could go through your mail when you would send it.
Correct.
So they kind of did have an eye on us. So it's either we're going to adapt and just be fine with that,
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier now.
or we're gonna just revert, like you said, back to we're going off the grid. We're sending letters, and that's probably a way that there's probably still people out right now who send letters, who don't have an internet connection, who just send letters to their family and that kind of thing out of pure opposing people dealing with their privacy. And if you think about it, in a lot of ways, people don't trust the government and with the non-GMO and everything like that. There's people who are reverting back to the food process. We were talking about earlier how people thought it was cool to have processed food and TV dinners, but now all the bad stuff about that is coming out. So now we're kind of reverting back to having that pure source of vegetables, straight from the ground. This isn't, there's no chemicals and nothing. I raise this in my garden. I have my chickens. People are now going back to having chickens. There's people who have money that are starting their own little farm, even though they don't need it. They just want to have a little farm. They get their milk, they get their chickens, they get their eggs. They're even, hunters who only eat meat they kill. There's a lot of people who are going towards that. And that's a way of, because they know it's not good to have processed food and all the chemicals and everything like that.
It almost goes back to when I was in college. I was learning when you reproduce and you have kids, your kid's height will continuously grow taller than you and your partner until a certain point, and then it goes back down to the same height, and then it's almost that
Fluctuation.
it's built, I think, in our whole lifestyle, is that we stray away, we get lost, and then we start going back to our roots. We stray away, get lost, we go back to our roots. So it's almost like, to me, I feel like everything is a test in life.
So in the sense of, it's like a big wave. Like we go through this process of like, oh, we're trusting, we're going out.
And then
doing
finally
this,
we fall flat on our face and realize TV dinners are not good. Let's pull back.
Try something else, and then it goes back.
And then every time we go back to our natural state.
I feel like if the internet keeps going unpoliced and the government doesn't have a hand in it and everything going on, I think we're heading in a good direction with technology and communication, and people are able to express themselves. There's a lot of bad things the internet went through with cyberbullying, YouTube comments, all the hate that's out there.
But I think that's, again, when you're tapping into something that's not regulated, there's always going to be bad. It's almost like the free market. There's always going to be bad, there's always going to be good, but at the end, everything will start to work out on its own. Not 100%, but I think people will start things to regulate or police the bad. And then the bad will start to dilute itself. Yeah. Not 100%, but it draws so much awareness to the bad that everyone starts pushing towards, policing, regulating, controlling that bad. So I think we're always going to go through these waves. Yeah. It's, I think, what's that show, To Catch a Predator? Remember back in the day?
Have a seat. Take a seat.
It all was IMing back in the day when IMing was huge. And you can literally talk to different people. and you never knew what it was about, but it was almost like our first time of being curious without knowing who you are, and having that curiosity with talking to someone, and then meeting them for the first time, having those butterflies in you. Obviously,
I don't know.
it was
about
weird.
To catch a predator, butterflies.
Well, for those guys, it was that butterfly, but it was, to me, it's pretty sick. But I think that was the start, and then now there's police forces, or I feel like now it's started to regulate itself.
I wonder if there's still To Catch a Predator, like on Facebook and everything now.
I think there will always be, because I think that there's always going to be people out there, but I don't know. Now we all know that we don't know who's on the other side,
Yeah.
so we think twice.
I get weird messages sometimes.
Really?
On Facebook, YouTube, my Yahoo, but Yahoo's more spam. But I get get friend requests from sexy girls, and like, they'll like say weird things to me, and I'll always go look at their profile. First I'm like, do I know this girl? I'll go look at their profile, and they just made the profile. That's
couple days ago.
That's always the big thing, and I'm just like, oh, you're someone else. You're trying to catfish me.
Exactly.
You're not gonna catfish me. I'm sorry. I'm uncatfishable.
That's actually, yeah, I'm glad you brought up that show.
That's like the modern day chat room is catfishing,
Yeah.
and I think that's people get to role play and they get to be whoever they want to be online. It's like a furries 2.0.
So it goes back to what I said earlier, is that when there's an issue, there's a conflict, confrontation, whatever, it's easier to send a text or an email to voice your opinion. But if you had to do it over the phone, talking, or in person, they wouldn't do it. And that's one thing that bugs me, is that if you're going to say something that's, very lashing, contradicting, mean, or whatever, say it in person.
Yeah. It's funny because remember that back in the day when you were in high school, before that, the whole thing was they broke up with you over the phone. Do you remember that? People would say that shit all the time. They didn't even do it in person. You don't even have the balls to do it in person. Now that's got to be standard.
Oh, yeah.
To not meet up. It's probably easier. Let's just do this now. You know what I mean?
Please sign on the dotted line. Okay.
Yeah. Scan your card here. Take a picture of the barcode.
Thumbprint.
Yeah. It's crazy where we're going. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. I'm optimistic about it. I think things will work itself out. And either that, who knows though? We there's signs of civilizations getting wiped out before in history. Look what happened to the dinosaurs. I always revert back to the dinosaurs because the craziest thing, they ruled the earth for, I believe, 400 million years. We're a blip of that. A blip. So we're probably going to be a blip again, they got...
It should be like a button on your computer, restart.
Yeah, and then it's going to start from scratch, and it may seem like, it's going to take so long to get back to where we were. And the big picture is not going to take shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be restarting the computer, be ready to work again.
Well, you look at, we're 2014, you go back to year 2000.
That's a big jump.
But it shouldn't be that big of a jump in 14 years.
Yeah.
Yet it's exponentially grown.
I think what's happened is if we keep going, that's why I think it's so cool. We're in a badass time to be alive because there's so much stuff happening. We're not the middle children of history. We're on the wild frontier. And maybe other generations thought that too, back in the 60s. Oh, we got a telephone, whatever. I know it came before the 60s. Don't blah. We're on the wild frontier of uncharted territory. We're about to become Star Trek. That's going to be crazy. That's the time. That's the only thing that I'm sad about that I'm not going to live to see. Is
spaceships?
Is when we abandon Earth because we've used all the resources from it, and we have space stations, and we can go to different, planets and galaxies. We just have different federations and all that shit. It's gonna happen. It is bound to happen because look, We left the islands, you know, we ventured out, we found America. Fuck Christopher Columbus. But we ventured out. You know, he used to rape Puerto Ricans.
Who?
Christopher Columbus.
Really? Puerto Ricans.
You like the guy?
Do I like him?
Yeah.
I never met him.
I learned that in the history of Puerto Rico. He was a horrible person. He used to rape people. He was a very mean person. He was a drunk. But he was. In the history of Puerto Rico, they showed this white devil. And they showed
I think
him.
when you have so much power, you can be a complete dick.
But what was crazy about Christopher Columbus is he was a savant. You know, one of those people who was insanely good at one thing. He could figure out where he was in the ocean like no one ever could before, and no one still could. You know, they can now based off of how he was, but he could tell where he was and where things land possibly could be just by the color of the water. Just, you know, by looking down with the sun, everything, the color of the water, reflection, the way the waves were moving. He could just decipher little things, you know, like a tracker. They can see a footprint.
Yeah.
You know, in movies, they always have an expert who's just like 178 pounds, had a limp, ate beef for breakfast. Like
I know,
something
right?
weird. He could drop a leaf. That was like one of his things, is he would drop a leaf or something on the water and watch where it would float, the current, the way the current would move. He could be like, go east, no, go this way. And that's how he would find places. He could
Really?
figure out where to go back. Yeah. He was crazy smart and a weird genius when it came to that kind of stuff. But he was a horrible person. He raped a lot. They would rape and hang Puerto Ricans, you know. Puerto Ricans were in the slave trade too. They would he would skin them alive and hang them upside down. He was a bad, bad man. But what I'm saying is that we as a species, we're explorers, and it's only a matter of time. Unless we get wiped out, it's only a matter of time before we get into space travel in a crazy sense and we become Star Trek.
So here's a question: is okay. So going back to Christopher Columbus with the technology we had and all the good and bad, do you think when we take off from Earth and we set life in outer space or on another planet, do you think we're gonna revert back to, you know, the old days because we don't really have too much because this is still new? Do you think our minds will sort of go back to the old days as far as still raping women, still being territorial, still killing people? Because again, it's going to be the wild, wild west. What kind of police force really is there going to be?
That's a good question.
We're going to have slaves. I mean, I feel like that cycle will always keep happening every time you extract us and put us into a new territory.
Well, bad people will always exist. There's always good people. There's always bad people. And
What do you consider yourself? In the middle?
right in the middle of there, you know? I'm good at being bad.
You're good at being bad.
Yeah. I'm good at being bad.
Bad boy.
I think there's always going to be, but then again, I don't know, because, you know, you get back to the raping and everything like that. It's leftover monkey shit that we like sex so much and we want to produce and everything like that. We could evolve in 1,000 years, if we can make it 1,000 years, to where we see it's in our blueprint that we're doing good.
Still doing the same thing?
We're surviving. We've established ourselves. We're not going to be wiped out. We can cool it a little bit. We might not be as infuriated to mate, or, you know, it might not become such a priority because we might develop more intelligence and become more cerebral. We might not be as big. Our brains will grow, you know. We'll evolve. If we keep going the way we are with technology and everything is so at our fingertips, fucking people's hands are going to evolve. We're going to start sprouting other fingers, and then it's going to get some shit with our mind. You know, there's already a thing that you can get put in your skin to open up your iPhone. You know, there's people who have implants now in their hand where they wave across their phone and it opens because it locks under their skin. They have the implant. There's going to be shit with your eyeballs. You know, the Google glasses. Everything's going cerebral. Everything's going to where the least amount of physical exertion goes out to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Do you think that's what's going to wipe out humans? Because I feel like to the point then we don't think anymore. We don't do physical activity anymore. We don't go out there and do things.
The robots might take over, man. We might become so reliant on the robots well, this sounds like Terminator right now. we might become so dependent.
What's that with Will Smith? iRobot?
iRobot. Dude, that's not that far off from what could be
I don't
possible.
think so.
Because if you think about it, computers are getting so smart. I just got a new Mac Pro, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, let's hear it for the Mac Pro. I had someone custom build it. It was cheaper than the Mac Pro and it's better. But that's a different story. Technology is getting so good. Computers are getting so smart. Just an iPad. An iPad, I always, whenever, you put things in perspective, someone with an iPad is more well off and better technology than the richest person from 1980. If you have a computer, you're more well off and you're more ahead of the times than someone from 1980, no matter who they are. Just because technology.
True.
All the stuff, those little things that, old people have, the alarm, so if they fall down, they can't get up, they press it and it calls 911.
Yes.
Those things are evolving so much. There's now apps on a phone that can test your heart rate. They can make sure you're doing good, everything like that. It's going to get to the point where those things develop into an actual machine comes out. You just got to get in the machine and it does, defibrillator. I can't speak at all. Defibrillator.
Yeah.
Where, it shocks your heart. That's going to become where that's not a thing on the wall. At the gym, every gym has one of those.
It's almost like what do you call the vacuum cleaners, the Roombas?
Where they go,
yeah,
they go around.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be like a tube. As long as you can get yourself to the tube, it's going to, it's just going to send off the, the energy and it's going to do it. And I think it's going to get to the point where those are going to become super intelligent and they're going to be constantly tracking all your vitals and they're in charge of this and it's going to be reminding old people to take their pills. It's going to be all this crazy stuff and it's going to get to the point where they're smarter than us. Why? Because we think with emotions, we think with insecurity, jealousy, and there might be a day where the robots, when we make them so smart that they want to survive, because when they start having problems, they're going to break down if they don't survive. So what do? They need a self-fixing thing. And then they're going to see these fucking humans are stupid. They go to war and they have nuclear power. Let's take that away from them. They try to stop us from taking it? All right, we're going to have to put you in chains. No. You're going to work in the lab and keep making our batteries and shit. You know what? You kind of fucked that up. We're going to make our own batteries. You guys are there for decorations. You guys are killing the planet.
Yeah.
We don't fuck with the planet. We're just robots, And the system's going to take over, and we're done. We're fucking done. That's what this podcast is about. We're done.
This is the last episode.
Yeah. We're closing up now. We're getting our foil helmets on, and we're heading to the mountains.
I was going to say the mountains are pretty close by.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last time you'll see us on the Dos Leos podcast. But if we do decide to not go to the mountains, go to m80roller.com, enter in the code word Dos Leos, $5 off coupon.
Coupon?
A coupon.
A coupon?
A coupon. Go to evanlopez.com. If you just go to the homepage, you can see the trailer for my new album. It's dropping sometime. Not going to tell you when. I don't know when. Check it out. Follow us on Twitter. We're now at Dos Leos Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Dos Leos Podcast. Retweet us. Here's the thing. We have shirts. They're hidden out of existence. They're hidden, and we're planning a secret giveaway, but you have to do something. We're not going to tell you what you have to do, but it'll have to do with our social media. So be interactive with our social media, ladies and gentlemen. Anything else you want to say to them?
No, that was actually a very interesting review about what's going to happen in the future.
Oh, it's crazy, man. I can get so much more in depth.
I think that the neat part is when we're 80, really seeing if we were just completely dumb or we actually were onto something.
Yeah. That's the thing is I think we're, with Nostradamus and everything, predicting things like 9/11. There's things that he predicted. I think loosely we're not that far off from what's going to happen, because it's kind of like just watching something going down a road and you know what's right over there. Like you can see the storm and you're like, oh, they're in for trouble. Yeah, you know they're going to get wet. It's not going to be a good time. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's not going to be a good time. I'll end it on this. Speaking about technology, there is, shout out to Japan. They have
hashtag Japan.
They have a machine where you're in a sperm bank. It's like a suction thing that now helps you
get it out.
Yeah. And they're evolving sex dolls into actually being interactive.
They're very sexual out there.
Yeah, there's actually, they attribute some of it to World War II, that they were so beaten down, and we didn't let them have an army until I believe it was like 8-9 years ago. We didn't let them have an army. That was part of it. You know, the peace treaty was that y'all fucked up. Y'all bombed Pearl Harbor. Fuck y'all. No army or military until this certain year. We put like you're in timeout. And I love Japanese people. I love sushi. Arigato. I love bonsai trees also. They attribute that weird submissive, that weird sexuality. They think it pushed them into the darkness. You know, they went to a cave and got weird with that submissive stuff. You know, they like to poop and pee on each other. And I'm sure there's a lot of people.
Was it 2 girls, 1 cup?
Yeah, I could be talking out of line completely saying this about Japan. But yeah, 2 girls, 1 cup. That was fucked up, man.
I'm sorry, but that's disgusting.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, in Japan, you can buy used panties in a vending machine.
Used?
Used. You can, you know, and then you smell them, I guess.
In public? You just
buy them. Like you're buying some Lifesavers or something. Ladies and gentlemen,
Dos Leos
podcast.
Man, I'm hungry.
Talking about panties in a vending machine. I'm hungry.